Well, it is time for FYI, and of course, second Tuesday means the Mayor Scott Maddasion, Gary Detterman sitting in for Dave Vickers. Now, I've interviewed Scott many times, but it's usually been about basketball down at Rastrelli. So I thought, Scott, we talk about basketball. You, of course, played at Clinton High, coached at Mater Dei or Prince of Peace, as well as out at Northeast. 35-second shot clock is coming to Iowa for boys and girls 2022-23 season. Your thoughts?
I love it. I would have loved to have the shot clock when I was coaching, because it creates a little bit of a sense of urgency, and then it also changes the game a little bit, because you got to run sets and you got to run plays that are going to get you a good shot in that short time. I think it'll also get rid of that stalling tactic where teams, get up by a few points and then you see them passing the ball out for 4 minutes and stalling it down. So I never liked to do that because it always seemed to backfire when we tried to do it. But yeah, I'm excited. I think it'll be cool.
Now, you said you had an experience with the shot clock in your day.
I did. So I was a volunteer coach at Ashford when I was going to school there, and first day of practice, they put me on the shot clock as we were scrimmaging, and I didn't really know when or how to reset it. So I got hollered at a little bit by Coach Drake, and it took me about 10 minutes and one of the players coming over to help me, and I learned real quickly when to reset it and when not to reset it, so that we were practicing game-like.
Now, it is going to be an issue, no doubt, for the area schools, because they'll have to put the clock in, get somebody to operate it. Now, it's only going to be for the varsity games, so JV games you don't necessarily need to have the shot clock. But just another administrative role.
Yeah, my teams, I always like to work quickly anyway. Yeah. You can run a set over and over and over again and wait for a good set or a good shot. But I think, if you get in there, you set some screens and you work quickly, you can be more effective anyway. So I'm excited to see how it works out.
Again, FYI with Scott Maddasion, Clinton just recently hosted RAGBRAI. It went well.
Yeah. RAGBRAI was awesome. I really want to give kudos to Leslie Webster at the CVB. She was on the job for 3 days and then found out she had to run RAGBRAI this year since it got canceled in 2020. And boy, did she really step up, and she worked with the RAGBRAI crew, and our councilman, Greg Oberon, who's been through RAGBRAI before, was heavily involved in that as well. And it went off without a hitch. I was talking to Sheriff Greenwald last weekend at the Goose Lake barbecue event, and he said that even the state trooper that does all the traffic along the way was just really complimentary to entire Clinton County and how we conducted ourselves and how we operated all the way through. And at the end, I got to meet Daniel, a young man who has a terminal brain cancer, and he rode his e-bike across the state, and it was really nice to meet him. We gave him a city coin and chatted with him, and then as an Air Force veteran, I handed out the city coin to about 50 or 60 Air Force riders that were on there. So it was kind of cool for me to get a chance to talk to them too. And it was just a fun day. And we ran around down there with the family, and my son was, terrorizing the bikers, and playing with the balloons and knocking the thing over. And it was really cool. So.
Scott, option agreement, what's that all about?
Yeah, so since last time we had the FYI program, we entered into an option agreement with a business out at the rail park for about 80 acres. We're getting paid for that option now. The development agreement for this company to jump on board here is all set and ready to roll. We're just waiting on IEDA at the state to kind of finalize the incentive package for them. Once they do that, we're expecting September, October timeframe. That'll be finalized, and when it is, at their board meeting, they'll announce publicly this company and what they are and what they do, and then we'll be able to talk about it in the open. But it's a significant investment in the community, about $300 to $400 million, and then it'll be about 50 to 60 jobs added. And I think it's going to be a really good piece to kind of kickstart. I know we have a couple businesses out at the rail park, but this will be a really nice addition to that, and it'll be nice. It's already got us some state funding to redo the roads and then make a new road kind of into the middle of the rail park. And our thought is, with this business in the middle, we can build from the middle out, and hopefully we'll be extremely attractive as we get the water and the sewer and the more infrastructure out there as well.
Now, something like this, and of course, it's great news for the city, is that the city administrator, the chamber, the development corporation, are all of you kind of working together.
It's everybody. Aaron and Andy at the CRDC and Matt are heavily working together on this. They attend all the meetings together, and they're working through that. And then there's a lot of other partners that are brought in. Iowa American Water, Alliant Energy, REC, all these other places that are on board as well, because it's a big deal to bring a company of that size into the business, and they are into the rail park, and they need a lot of infrastructure. They need a lot of utilities and things like that. So it's really been a team effort. And for me, this is kind of my first huge project as I've been on board as mayor. And it's really cool to see how everybody work together and the progress that we've made.
That is great news. I mean, and what impact may it have on the community? You see so much housing going up, especially on the west end of town. It'd be nice to fill those out.
Yeah, and Valley Bluff, they're renting now. The sections that they have open, I think they're full. And they have a waiting list for the ones they're building now, it's awesome because, I've talked to Dave before about it. When they first built the landing on the other side, I was a naysayer, like, wow, we don't need that. And then now they have a waiting list, and then these guys have a waiting list. So, could have fooled me, I guess. And I'm excited to see the rest of those units go up, and it's just a really good transitional place for people if they're looking to buy a home. And it's also a good place to be. There's a lot of great amenities, and you're next to kind of everything on that west end. So another cool project.
Again, visiting with Scott Maddasion. You said you were at a recent meeting, and things went very well, talking about grants.
Yep. So Tuesday night, we had a committee of the whole meeting, and we had a whole room full of people that were extremely excited. The COVID has brought many buckets of money that the city can try to tap into at the state and the federal level. So we've come across this working with ECIA in Dubuque. This bucket of money that's really geared towards helping businesses that were affected by COVID, whether it was revenue or employees or anything of that nature. So we're focusing on three different aspects, and we're asking for the folks that are in the I hate to say it, but the slum or blight area in Clinton is what it's designated. It's our urban renewal area. So if you don't know if you're in that, you can call the city and we'll let you know. But it's mainly in the downtown area, and it doesn't quite stretch to Lyons, but pretty close. So what we're looking to do is get $1.5 million for three different areas. One would be microloans, which would give up to $50,000 of forgivable loans to the businesses as long as they stay in business for a certain amount of time and they can prove that they lost revenue during COVID. So, and it doesn't have to be 50. That's the maximum they can do. We're looking for $500,000 on the facade grant side, which I think is really big for our downtown businesses because they can get up to $50,000 to kind of dress up and redo the exterior of their building. Again, you got to tie it to COVID that you weren't able to do repairs because of lost revenue or whatever. So we're working through that. And then the last would be daycare. I know that's a big thing in our area. So we didn't get a lot of response from that, but we're hoping that we do have some daycares in the area that would be, needing those type of funds. So looking for $1.5 million. Don't know what we'll get. That's the maximum ask. So that's what we're going to ask for. And if we get less than that, then we'll figure it out. The big step is to find out who's interested and then create some objective criteria on who gets what and why we would do that. So
hopefully we do get some of these monies, and once they do arrive for us, how are they going to be distributed?
So we're going to have to work with ECIA is our intergovernmental organization in Dubuque that we work with. They're in our region. So we'll work with them to create some criteria to make sure people qualify. The city would receive the funds and we would administer them. So we would be very, very diligent on ensuring that you can prove that COVID affected you. Because we don't want to violate the rules or anything like that. But we're going to do our best to help bring this money in here and give it to any businesses that we can, because there's a lot of people that could really use, even if, it's not 50, even if it's 5 or 10,000 for your facade on your building, that's better than nothing, right?
Exactly. So we're going to be taking a break for the weather in just a minute. I know Dave doesn't always break for the weather, but I like to keep what's going on in the program along.
Sure.
But, listening to you talk about getting these grants and various things like that, what have you learned on the job about dealing with the government?
It's a lot of reading, because some of these grant applications are 40, 50 pages long, and you got to read through it and figure out if you qualify and if you don't qualify, and then your response is 40 or 50 pages. And I know we have staff that does a lot of that, and we work with some organizations, but there's a lot of money out there, and I think we just really have to focus and attack it and try to get, I'm all right with other people paying for stuff for our community.
Very good. Again, with more with Scott Maddasion, our break for the weather brought to you by Air Control.
One final hot and steamy day for the Quad Cities, even watching for a chance of some strong to severe thunderstorms as we head into the afternoon and evening. So far, no heat advisory issued, but with highs in the low 90s, could see heat index values climb to near 100 for this afternoon. Any storms that do develop later today into this evening could also contain some gusty winds. We dry out, cool down significantly by tomorrow and for the upcoming weekend. For Friday, we'll see highs near 85 under mostly sunny skies, and then around 84 degrees for your Saturday and Sunday. Continued mostly sunny conditions and little to no humidity. With your Storm Track 8 forecast, I'm meteorologist Andrew Sutsky.
Thank you, Andrew. Right now, sunshine, fair skies, 76 degrees. Our update brought to you by Air Control.
Imagine that it's 97 degrees outside and humid. You walk to your front door of your house, ready to escape into the comfort of an air-conditioned home. As you open that door, you're met with a blast of hot, sticky air. You feel the vents and you have warm air blowing out, and your home now feels like a sauna. At Air Control Inc. in Clinton, Iowa, our technicians are certified to diagnose and repair your home's cooling system. If you want to go to a sauna, go to the gym. Give ACI a call today at 563-243-7228. Again, 563-243-7228.
FYI continues with Scott Maddasion. We were talking during the break. I had mentioned in the news, we had a story about the Field of Dreams game up in Dyersville. And I mentioned that Tanner Dickherber is one of the groundskeepers. You're good friends with Tanner.
Yeah, Tanner is, he was my film guy when I was at Prince Peace. He filmed all my games for me. So I've known Tanner a long time, and he's just a really good kid. And he loves it out there. I've seen him a couple times when he's back, and he's really enjoying it. And today's a big day for him because he does internship in Milwaukee and then got this job at Dyersville after he finished at Kirkwood. So it'll be cool.
I remember, when he played baseball for Clinton High School, and if you played baseball, after the ball game, the players have to work on the field themselves. So he kind of took that into a career, and of course he was working down at Nelson Corp Field for a while. So good news for him. And he tried to get you on.
I tried to get on the tarp crew so that I could stand on the field for the game, but it didn't work out. I guess my application wasn't good enough.
We're going to talk a little bit about music. Finally, Friday's wrapped up. It went very well.
Yeah, I'm just excited that we were able to do those events again this year after last year, them all being canceled. And I've gone down to a couple Music on the Avenues, and I was able to make it to a couple Finally Fridays. And boy, just to see the people out and enjoying themselves and the great music, it was just really nice to see that throughout the community. And I think we really needed that after the tough 18 months that we had in 2020 and into 21. So
I know tonight, Music on the Avenue, Bowman, Pickney, and Evans.
Yeah.
Iowa Rock and Roll Hall of Famers.
They are. Yeah, I wish I could go tonight. I have a ball game in Preston tonight, playoffs. So
Ooh, you're into the playoffs. CAD grant. Talk about that, Scott.
Yeah. We talked about it at the meeting on Tuesday night as well. We're looking at the community tourism grant, community attraction and tourism grant. So we approved funding to do some upgrades to the marina out of the marina fund balance. And then we came across this grant, which is geared directly towards tourism and things like that. So we've already done so many projects on the riverfront. So we're going to use those projects that we've done and that we are doing as the match for this grant. And we're asking for $400,000 on this. So this would replace the $300,000 that we already approved. We would use this money to do our marina upgrades, and we'd actually be able to go a little bit farther because it's a little more money than we allocated. And then that $300,000 can go towards something else that we need to do down there. So this is another opportunity, like we just talked about the grants, and this is another one we came across and we found it, and it was like, hey, they've never done a marina project before. They've done splash pads. They've done different things like that. So the folks we talked to thought this would be really cool for us to apply because it's a different thing that this program hasn't done before. So,
I believe there's a meeting down there this evening from 4 to 5.
Yep. and we're going to talk about the upgrades and the different things that we're looking to do down the marina. And then we're also looking for feedback from the slip renters, if they have ideas or they have thoughts about the process or what we're doing, because it's important. We have a lot more dredging that needs to get done. So it'd be nice to get this grant, and then that other $300K could go towards something like that, because low waters this year kind of beat us up. We did a lot of dredging, and then the water went down, and it looks like we did nothing. We did quite a bit, actually. So
you're at the mercy of the river. It's great to be on the river, but
Right.
you don't know if it's going to be high. You don't know if it's going to be low.
we had so many years where it was higher than normal.
Yeah.
And I talked to some people, and they're like, well, in the 90s, this is what the normal level. And I was like, oh, so are we going to go back in time, and that's where it's going to be now? So hopefully we can get all that stuff worked out, because it's an important piece of Clinton. It's an important piece of our downtown, and we do have a lot of people, that transient boaters that come in and they stay the night and they go to Candlelight or they go around town. And then also the American Queen and those ships that come in, we want to make sure that we're friendly to them so they can get in and get out, and those folks can see our town as well.
Yeah, what a great advantage to be right on the Mississippi River. Because I remember when I was doing the ball games, when a lot of the families would come in, players from California or from wherever, the first thing they wanted to do was take a look at the Mississippi River.
Yeah. And isn't it awesome to have the baseball stadium right there?
I know it.
I mean, I don't know if there's another setting that's like that. I know Davenport has that, but they don't have a levee either, so their stadium's flooded, and
Yeah.
it's nice for us to not have that issue either.
Of course, it was originally named Riverview, and you used to have a view of the river
Yeah.
from the stadium. But fortunately, now we do not have a view of the river.
I think Clinton did it right, putting the levee in,
Oh, that
because
was great.
we don't have to deal with a lot of those issues that other communities do. So
Yeah. Again, visiting with Scott Maddasion on FYI infrastructure bill.
yeah. So obviously the federal government just passed the infrastructure bill, the $1 trillion bill, through the Senate. It's got to go to the House as well. So we're gearing up to focus on that. We're starting to. It's 2,700 pages. So our city administrator is digging into that a little bit, because we're going to try to attack some of that as well, to for our roads and things like that in town. And we applied for it's called the RAISE grant now. It's been the build grant the last couple of years for manufacturing drive and all that. So we're hoping that this infrastructure bill will help us attain that $4.6 million for that project, because it would save the local taxpayers a little money on that, and then that 4.6 can be allocated to, that we already have set for it, can be allocated to other projects and other roads, and we can continue to upgrade our infrastructure as far as roads go. I mean, Clinton has 151 miles of road, which is a large amount for a community our size. So it does take a lot of money to maintain and improve those. So that's a big focus for us as well.
Just kind of getting off track here a little bit, again, visiting with Scott Maddasion. We talk about so much that we are looking to do. Does it get frustrating at times that you want this stuff to be done now, and you have to wait for the process to take place?
Yes. Obviously, the city is not a business that, generates revenue, because we don't sell products and things like that. I mean, we make some. So, we're borrowing and we're doing things like that. We're getting road use tax fund in from the state and different things that pay for these upgrades and these projects. It's frustrating for me to, for a citizen to come to me and say, hey, I really want you to drive down my road. It's really bad. And then I go over there and I drive down the road and I have a conversation with them, and I'm like, okay, let me talk to the engineer. And then Jason's like, yep, it's on the plan, but it's not until fiscal year whatever. And it's like, going back to him, like, hey, you got to wait 2 more years. It's frustrating, because I wish I could just snap my fingers and fix their road today and be like, oh man, this is bad, we got to do it. So it's a waiting game. Government's slow and is frustrating at times, but our engineer has a great plan for roads, and every road is on his list in town, and when it needs to be redone or maintained and all that. So hopefully we can, if we get some of these funding, we can reallocate funds, and hopefully we can get a few more projects done faster than what we are projecting.
And another aspect of this is you're competing with so many other communities.
Yeah. I mean, just the RAISE grant itself, you're competing with the whole state of Iowa. They give two grants out for the state of Iowa every year. They might do 3 if it's a lesser amount of money because there's only so much for each. So, we're competing with Coralville and Des Moines and Davenport and Dubuque and these bigger communities because it's a grant for rural America, and the federal government considers rural 250,000 or less. Well, we're sitting at 26,000. So we're Matt always uses the phrase that we're boxing out of our weight class, and we're kicking and screaming, and we're going to try to keep fighting because we deserve some of this funding as well, just like the larger places do.
Well put. Always tough to be outside your weight class.
Yeah.
COVID funds going to wrap things up for you. There are other COVID funds out there.
Yep, there's another bucket that we're getting. We're getting about $3.6 million. We've received the first payment of 1.8 already. That's brought in, and then next year we'll receive the other 1.8. And these are strictly for infrastructure in the city, specifically water quality improvement, sewer, and then broadband. So we're teaming up with the county to do a study about broadband and where the gaps are throughout the entire county and the city of Clinton of who has service, who's got good service or bad service, and then we're going to put out an RFP, and we're going to team up with some folks to try to really increase our broadband capability and our speeds, whether it's fiber or whatever we can do for many reasons. And the biggest one is we want to provide our citizens, with the kids being online and people working at home, but then also we want to be an attractive place for people who no longer have to go to their office building in downtown Chicago. Maybe they can work remotely and they can live in, small town Clinton, Iowa, and still work. And that requires speed on the internet side and infrastructure. So we're going to really invest in that because we want to be at the forefront in Iowa, at least, of having that infrastructure in place.
Well, it's been a pleasure. It's been interesting visiting with you. I know Dave always likes to close out by having his guest talk about anything that we may not have covered or something that they would like to express. So go ahead.
Oh, I think I hit everything. I brought the topics today, so I appreciate that, and this was fun, and I'd love to call a basketball game with you sometime. So it's something I'd want to do, so I can be your color guy.
Well, there you go. And, unfortunately, we're not at Rastrelli, so I can't offer you the salad bar or pizza or anything like that. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Once again, our thanks to Mayor Scott Maddasion coming in on today's FYI program. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, it'll be Radio Iowa News, and Paul Dimkowski will be in with Will and Dale. Then it is John Tesh Intelligence for Your Life. Of course, coming up tonight, you will hear Dan Patrick and the Danettes.
Keep it on the down low here, is the Dan Patrick Show.